Hi, I'm Meredith. We're excited to be here, and today we're all going to learn something new. As a leader in digital farming, we at FieldView work hard to make sure every tool is both powerful and simple to use. But when it comes to things like algorithms and data science, it's really easy just to get lost in the numbers. We're having a ton of fun at the FieldView Science Fair today, and we just heard about seed scripts from Fletcher. But now it's time to talk about how that data is collected. For our final experiment today, we have FieldView scientist Molly here to show us how a little bit of inaccurate data can ultimately make a big difference.
Hey Meredith, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be the third experiment, save the best for last. And we're going to talk about data quality today. So really, why do we care about data quality? We want to make sure that FieldView is giving you the best insights to make managing your farm easier. And to get to those cool insights that Fletcher showed us earlier, where we get some scripts for our field. So we're going to leverage this shelf setup today to help us understand and do an experiment on data quality. So one way to talk about this is garbage in, garbage out. Have you heard of that phrase, Meredith?
Yep, sure have.
Yeah, so good in, good out is a nice way to say it too. So when we have precise data, we're talking about putting the good in. So Meredith, what do you use when you hang a shelf? I'm guessing you've hung a shelf before.
Well, yes, Molly. I would think, so you would certainly need a stud finder. You need to make sure that that shelf's in the right place. And you also need a level.
Excellent. Those are two perfect tools that are going to help us get to the precise shelf hanging that we want to get to. So we use our level, we line up our shelf, we find the stud with our stud finder, make sure we're anchoring it in tight, and we get a really sturdy quality shelf that we can say we hung it precisely and it's going to be something we can depend on. Well, precise data is very similar with FieldView. So let's say this blue ball up here represents our seed product name. So when I put that in, I'm going to make sure I put in exactly what that seed product name is, so that when I look at it later, I know exactly what it was. And maybe this year, I want to do that same hybrid, but use a seed treatment. So I'm going to add that seed product name exactly how it is, and then I'm going to add in the seed treatment. Now, I went to my dealer, and I had a seed treatment in mind, but he gave me a really good deal on a different one. So I went with that one. Now I got two floating around in my memory. So I got to make sure I wrote down the right one. I got to check my files and make sure I get the right one, because I want to be able to make decisions at the end of the season on whether I want to invest in that again. Now, let's say this last one is our field boundaries. So Meredith, you've mapped a field in FieldView before?
Of course.
Yeah, so you know it comes with some loose boundaries to help you get started. But then you want to go in there and check it and make sure you're mapping the roads and blocking off the trees and and making sure you're getting the fields that you're growing your seeds on. Because what would happen if you had a field boundary this big, but you really only planted on this much?
Well, come harvest, you're going to have some inaccurate data.
That's right. That's right. So it's going to be as good, the results are going to be as good as the data that comes out of it. So now let's talk about pretty close data. When we talk about pretty close data, let's leverage these. You can be my helper here today.
Of course.
And grab those. Thank you. So now instead of putting it in exactly the seed name, exactly as I did up here, I'm going to put in maybe hybrid A. I'm running late. I'm really busy. The weather's coming bad. I need to get in that field. So I'm just going to put this in the system, hybrid A, and I'm going to hope I remember and change it later. I'll give you the yellow. Thank you. This is also my hybrid, but my teenage son planted it, and he doesn't care about details, and so he just put in 1, 2, 3, and he figures mom and dad will fix it later. So put that up there. And then you want to give me this last one? Now, in this example, we're still talking about the same seed, but my husband put it in, and this time he put in the exact right name. He put it in just like he should have up at the top. And so now we've got 3 fields all planted with the same product, but what's in FieldView?
Well, you've got 3 different products.
That's right. So now we've put it in FieldView as 3 different things. And now that's going to come out at the end of the season. We're not going to be able to pull that yield together in the way that we really want to. So let's take one more example of pretty close data. Let's say up here, instead of mapping my fields really closely, I just take what came in. And I know that there's some inaccuracies, but I don't worry about it. Now what happens when I still use that same field boundary next year?
You're still going to have some inaccurate data.
That's right. I carry that issue over year after year after year. So maybe one last thing to point out in this example, I may remember that this hybrid is the same across, but what about someone I choose to share my data with? What if I share my data with my trusted advisor or my spouse or my dealer? They're not going to know that we've got some wonky names in our system. So now that's just one more way that that error keeps coming in. So let's have a little fun with this. How does this relate back to our pretty close data in terms of building a shelf? Well, as you said, we need to use a level. Well, in this pretty close data, my level's out in the shed. I don't really want to go get it. I'm pretty good at eyeballing stuff. I'm just going to do my best. How about what was the other thing you said? Stud finder.
Yeah.
Well, instead of using my stud finder, the battery looks like it's dying. I think it's right around in here somewhere, but I'm not quite sure. So what happens when all those errors add up? You want to put on your mask here, safety first, right? So now all those errors add up. I miss my stud. I get a slightly unlevel shelf. And what happens now is I get a wonky shelf that makes a mess of my data insights.
Wow, Molly. Well, it looks like with the help of FieldView and a little bit of effort here, you can have your cake and eat it too. Thanks for a great experiment, Molly. If you've got some pretty close data at home and need some help cleaning it up, feel free to reach out to our customer support line, and they're welcome to help you at any time.